Welcome in, everybody. Joe Quills here with you on this Tuesday night. I don't even know what day of the week it is. I would give myself one of those if I had that loaded on here. But welcome in, everybody. Joe Quills here with you. Uh, Phillies lose tonight, 5-0 to the Marlins. Well, I should say the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp because the Marlins sold everything at the deadline. But we won't talk too much into that. But coming up on the show, you see there on the bottom of the screen, J.J. McCarthy is out. I'll tell you what happened. Jim Harbaugh is not going to be showing up at Michigan for their home opener on August 31st. And how much is your NFL franchise worth? Well, I got the top 10 here. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Um, so it is a Tuesday night here. Um, and who knows? Maybe if we have enough people in here around 9:25 or so, maybe I'll call the third race of the Assiniboia Downs because that was the Quills Picks winners race of the day. We're going for the hat trick tonight, three in a row. I should have a hat nearby in case I do hit three in a row. Well, I got my Phillies hat behind me. I can use that. But anyways, we got a lot of fun coming up here. Best thing I can tell you is just sit back, relax. Feel free to chime in with comments or anything like that, and we'll Uh, get through it here together here. So, um, you know, if there is one good thing about these play rules that come into play for the last year or two, it makes watching a loss that pisses you totally off. It makes you not watch it as much because the games are faster, and this game was done probably in about 2 hours and 20 minutes, so you didn't have to sit around too much and watch that game, thankfully. But um, but in this case, um, Taiwan Walker was I well as I call him Chinese Taipei Walker because so one side says it's Taiwan, the other says it's Chinese Taipei. I don't know which one's the correct way or whatever. I don't know which side favors the rest of the world, which side favors China. But since he has a name like Taiwan, even though it's not spelled Taiwan, I still make that joke because I'm going to make jokes where I'm going to make you think. I'm a in some ways. I remember one of my friends I used to work with used to say, "One thing I like about your jokes is you make me think." And that's kind of like a Dennis Miller thing where you may not get the joke because you just may not be smart enough. And I'm not saying that you're stupid. It's just that I try to reach all audiences with my jokes because one joke may be a stupid dad joke like I posted today on my Facebook page, uh, or I start joking around and calling Taiwan Walker Chinese Taipei. You may not get that reference, but you should get the reference because of the fact that the Olympics just ended. And but Walker was off in the first inning. He gave up 3 runs in the first, I believe. Was it two or three? But didn't matter. He left the game. It was 3-0, and Phillies were very stagnant. Didn't do much offensively, and I kind of lost interest in watching while I was making dinner here tonight. So, um, but that's why you win as many games as possible in March, April, and May, because the more you win earlier in the year, the less you need to win later on in the year. Now, granted, it's nice to have 100, 105, 110 wins, or whatever that pace was at the beginning of the year, because you have an opportunity to do things that no other team had done in Phillies history. But we all know what happened with that team that set the all-time wins record in 2011. The the golden era of Phillies baseball went down as Ryan Howard crumpled to the ground with his broken leg or his torn Achilles, like Barbaro, the nickname I gave Ryan Howard after that injury. Because if you remember Barbaro, he broke down in the stretch at the beginning of the Preakness back in 2005, 2006, I think it was. But the thing is, these these lulls happen. It's just that you got to get yourself back out of them, and especially this week when you're playing two bad teams, and then you got Atlanta coming up next week, where it's like, what Atlanta are you going to get? Are you going to get the Atlanta that's been struggling, or are you going to get that Atlanta that's been beating the crap out of the Phillies in the regular season the last couple of years? So, but I mean, am I worried? Yes, but I do know that there's still an ample lead in the division, so it's not like the lead is down to one or two games. Um, but it's just so frustrating as a fan right now because of the fact that this team is much better than what they're playing, and in a way, you have to think about it as everybody goes through this, and the Phillies are still up 6.5 on the Braves right now. The Braves are in action right now, I believe. No, they don't start till 9:45. That's a game on MLB Network at San Francisco. Okay, so um, so yeah, so you do have a little bit of room, but if you can keep it in that 6 to 8 game lead area, you're fine because 3 games is one series. You know, 6 games is two series. Keep it around 6 or 7, because that way, if you get swept by the Braves, let's say, you still hold three. But if you end up winning all 3 games, then you're up 9. Then Atlanta's like, oh, you know, so much for our playoff run that we had over the last 5, 10 years or whatever. Um, but I think that this team's gonna snap out of it soon. I think we saw some of it with the Dodgers. Now the Dodgers are getting pieces back. Mookie Betts is back. He came back from his wrist or thumb injury, and I actually saw him doing an interview with NBC Sports Philadelphia. It was him. Ruben Amaro was one of the guest hosts. I forget who else was on there, but the names escape me, but it's irrelevant. But um, just for the sake of the interview, and this is why one thing I will tell you is when it comes to celebrities and athletes, and I'm gonna put them in the same ray of light, put them in the same group, celebrities and athletes, because some athletes are just no name people, like the big three, has-beens and never will be's. I did have a story about that, but I guess I didn't print it up. But anyways, oh, I know that was the article I saw this morning on. Actually, I think I saved it on Facebook, so I'm gonna share that story too. That's gonna be an added story because I always put on there more or whatever. So give you guys some extra fodder to talk about here. But um, yeah, so the one thing is, and even with an interview like that, sometimes you see the person away from the game. And I never had a problem with Mookie Betts to begin with, but the one thing is, you catch a celebrity, you catch an athlete. Well, in Philadelphia, we consider our newscasters celebrities sometimes. I mean, I can think of uh, some reporters and anchors and stuff like that, but I won't get into that. The one thing I would say is one of the reasons why I don't really want to meet reporters or athletes or celebrities is, you know, you catch him on a bad day, and then all of a sudden you start saying, "Man, that guy was a real dick." Like for example, I'll tell you one guy who I could have said was a real dick, but but I understood his point of view because he was a former reporter for 6 ABC here in Philadelphia, Vernon Odom. And my job at Redacted was on strike. And I was there late in the afternoon. Almost nobody was there. I was there just hanging out, doing whatever. And, can you say any words? Now, I probably could have said on condition anonymity, yeah, but I didn't want to say anything because we were under a gag order. The company was under a gag order too. So, no, basically almost no news could be shared between what was going on in New York or DC or wherever the negotiations were. There was nothing going on between. I mean, we didn't really know anything. I mean, if we got any news about anything, it was it was code. It was in code, so that it was like, you know, okay, put two and two together, get five, get six, get 22, but you're not going to get four with this. And if you do, congratulations, you're a really smart human being. Um, but I mean, I could have gave my opinions and all that, which probably would have taken neither the side of the company nor my side, the union. But Vernon Odom was pissed off, and rightfully so. I understood it. I understood. He wanted to get somebody's opinion, and I was the only one there because a couple of the guys from the other union in my building, they walked away from the front. I was standing there. I said, "Listen, Vernon, I'd love to talk to you, but we're under under a gag order here. I prefer not to talk. Prefer not to get myself into trouble." So, yeah, he was pissed off. But you know what? It was just that I'm not taking a chance. Last thing I need is to see my face plastered on Action News and then getting a call from the office. Our office is actually, our union office is actually in New Jersey. Um, I don't want to get a call and say, "Why did you go on camera? You know we're not supposed to do that." So, what's the best way to make sure you don't violate any company rules or, you know, union rules or anything like that? Best thing is just say, not doing it. I was trying to be as polite as possible because you know what? It could happen that I cross roads with Bernard Odom 6 months from then, and there was a breaking story about something around the corner from my office, and oh, hey Bernard, how's it going? I don't want him to be, oh, you're the motherfucker that didn't want to talk to me. Well, Vernon, I couldn't talk to you too much then, but he had been in the industry for 40 some years at that time, so he knew what that is like. I mean, he was probably the sixth, seventh, eighth person I heard from somebody of the people on strike that didn't hear that couldn't get anything. So, but the point is, um, I kind of don't want to meet celebrities too much because, you know, you get a high regard for somebody. It's like, oh, yeah, you hear this person's such a good dude, and you catch him on a bad day, and all of a sudden you think, man, that guy's a real dick. Now, I don't know how Jason Worth is, but um, they sent Vern to 3 Mile Island. Must have been felt expendable. Last I saw him, well, I didn't see him, but I heard him because you can't miss his voice. He was doing a voiceover work for some sort of a for some law firm, but you know, but I'm not the type of person, like for example, Jason Worth. Now, um, Um, he was downtown. He was meeting. He was um, at the front desk, and he had a "don't you know who I am" type attitude towards uh, an old girlfriend's family member. And I said, when they told me everything that happened, I'm like, I'm not surprised, but like they said, Utley's the nicest man in the world, and you could tell Utley, it's not anything he does is different, but Jason Worth came off as a real prick, according to the ex girlfriend, and in a way, I wasn't surprised, but I don't want to ruin what I see on the field or what I see in the media. Like, for example, one person that totally changed my opinion of him is Reggie Miller. Total dick on the court because, he was always demonstrative. Even though I loved when he went like this to the New York Knicks and to Spike Lee because, Philly hates New York and New York hates us right back. But when you see him doing the NBA games, calling the NBA games, calling the NCAA games when he was doing those as well, because I think he just does NBA. He wasn't calling the NCAA tournament the last year or two. And when he's on the Dan Patrick show, fun person, joking around, happy, everything. So, I mean, Shaq's the same way. You give him more credit than, uh, because you should just think he's a basketball player that can't shoot free throws, but, he's a business mogul with everything, all the different businesses that he buys into because it's not, no, don't pay me for, um, don't pay me for being your spokesman. Let me buy into the company to be the spokesman. So he knows a lot more than what you would think from him in his NBA days, and some things like that. And Mookie Betts just seemed like a really cool dude on this podcast that they had on NBC Sports Philly. He's joking around and he's talking with Ruben Amaro because Ruben Amaro tried to work a deal with Mookie Betts in Boston, apparently, but um, but I think it was after the Phillies had um, I think it was like 12, 13, 14 after the Phillies were out of the playoffs, but um, he still recognized talent. They just couldn't get the job done or the trade done. But it was a really interesting podcast. I'm gonna have to try to find it online tonight, or maybe tomorrow because I got to be up early. But it's really an interesting thing, and that's why a lot of times I don't want to mess around with you know celebrities too often. But but when you look at these games, when you look at the game tonight, it's just like what the fuck. There was no life in the team. The crowd was lifeless after the Phillies went down 3-0. You know, um, I think one thing I said, and I said this kind of joking around, but kind of making, just to see how much solidarity there is in the clubhouse despite all the losing lately. The one thing I would say is one thing that you will test the solidarity of the team is if there's a bench clearing brawl. Everybody coming out to the field at the same time. You know, don't you dare do that to our player and stuff like that. I think the solidarity is still there. It's just, you know, you're used to winning so much, and then all of a sudden you hit. I mean, it's not even a pothole. It's a sinkhole that they fell in, and they got to get back in order because the Mets are coming up on the schedule. The Braves are coming up on the schedule. You know, let's get things let's get things back on track, and then we can start getting into. And I'm shouldn't be using the word we because the only pronouns I'm worried about is we and us versus they. Not they, them, he, her. I couldn't care less about that. And like I've said before, if it comes to me referring to you in the wrong pronoun, I say they instead of he or she instead of they or them. You know, just kindly say, hey, I prefer they. Okay. It doesn't, it's all about how you worry about the corrections and stuff like that. And that's why, even with these shows, I am all about constructive criticism. If you don't like something I say or do, it's not that big of a deal. I'm doing this for fun. And, like, for example, part of the reason why this is for fun is because I started 5 minutes late. Now, was it because of the Phillies game? No, I got tied up with dinner and all this other stuff and didn't have my stories ready to go like I'd wanted to. But, once September comes around and, September 9th, when that week I start doing Wednesday shows, I am going to be starting at 9 o'clock on the dot. Might be pressing it a little bit and starting at 8:59:59, but you get the idea. But um, but yeah, that's exactly, I even though this is for fun, I do take it seriously and I try to start on time. I try to finish on time. Now, last night, perfect reason why um, I had things in my mind for when September 9th rolls around. I'm threw some ideas around and, it may happen, it may not. I'm not going to give too much about that though, um, but are the Phillies in trouble right now? Yeah, but they do have enough of an advantage in the division where if they right themselves in the next couple of days here at home, they should be fine. The problem is you got these teams that are chasing you, playing here and you're playing there. Because you got two series with Atlanta, two series with the Mets, two with the Marlins, even though the Marlins are dog shit. Washington, they're dog shit, but you get the idea. So, but I think that you know, I don't think there were many boos in the first half of the year, if at all, or up until a couple of weeks ago. But this team deserves to get booed. But if the one thing is, as long as the team realizes that a boo means that this fan base and this team, the fans in attendance care about this team, then yeah. And I guarantee you, because I think Bryce Harper did say a couple of times in the past in his early years here in Philly, and believe it or not, I can say early years now because he's been here so long. He can say, um, he said it once before. He'll probably say it again. I deserve to get booed, and the team does deserve to get booed right now. Now, some people are saying on Facebook and Twitter, "Oh well, we need to have a standing ovation for this team." It worked once, it's probably not going to work again. It's kind of like the whole Mark Messier thing back in 1994. We're going to win this series when they were down 3-2. We're going to win game six, whatever he said exactly. But they did win the series. They ended up winning the cup. Well, guess what? Those proclamations don't work many times. It just happened that it worked for the Rangers that 2 day period. So that's definitely something I would say is that it's not all the time, but you know, it's all something. Um, it is something that you do have to look at here. So, um, hmm. Okay, so sorry about that. I was looking at the soccer scores, and I know soccer. Come on, Joe. But I took a peek here because near the end of the show, my good friend Pork Chop Express, who is a good friend of mine for the Free for All show, he was he came in later in the show. He goes, "Oh, by the way, the Union plays Cincinnati tomorrow night, meaning tonight." And but I didn't. I forgot all about it. So, and I kind of forgot about this third race of the Cinnabon Downs as well because I was going to call the race if I remembered, but I'm on this rant with all kinds of tangents, and my horse McKeg finished second in a Cinnabon Down, so I do not get the hat trick. Uh, we'll start from scratch tomorrow with the race from Saratoga. So, um, but yeah, they excuse me. So, you know, my video is not working on Twitch. I am working up. There I am. Okay, so I don't know what's if my video disappears once in a while, I do apologize. So, but you know, but that it is frustrating, and I have confidence the Phillies will get back on track. I'll just say that, but they got to do it quick because the Braves are looming in terms of being on the schedule next week. So that's why I'm only worried. That's the only reason why I'm worried about the Braves. So let's get some football here. We're in week 2 of the preseason. Uh, Eagles play Thursday night in New England. They have a joint practice with the Patriots up in Foxborough. Supposedly the Eagles look very good. Jalen Hurts look good, and probably I'm guessing, and I'm not reading too much into it because I was just scanning the article see if there's anything we're talking about other than that. But I imagine Jalen Hurts probably won't play because of the joint practice. Use him in the joint practice to get his work in and bubble wrap him for the regular season. But one guy who may be in bubble wrap potentially for the rest of the year is Minnesota Vikings first round pick JJ McCarthy. And now his status is in the air right now because tests on his knee revealed that he has a tear in his meniscus in his right knee, with the final determination to be made once he undergoes surgery this week. Now, you know, it, even though you could say, oh, that was a surprise first round pick or whatever, and he wasn't doing well in the first part of the OTAs and stuff like that, but, you get your first round pick and you're basically going to have him a year behind if you think about it, because yeah, he's going to be watching video. He's going to be watching video of Sam Darnold and whoever else is on the roster, or stuff like that, possibly. But you know, sometimes there's nothing better than live action, and um, also the live, reading defenses, getting hit, all that stuff, and also live practice. Getting ready for those games, going through the motions of getting ready for the game, because it's more than just the game itself, in my opinion. But you know, that the injury that he had, it was confirmed today by Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings head coach. He said it occurred during the preseason game on Saturday over the Raiders, the win over the Raiders. He threw a second touchdown pass on his final play and left after he played 30 snaps that O'Connell planned for him to take. So probably, and if anybody out there has played sports, whether you're watching on X or YouTube or on Twitch, and I do see that there's people popping in, but feel free to chime in. Say hello. I don't bite unless you're female. You want me to, but I'll be gentle at first. Uh, but you know, but I guess what happens is at first it was like, well, the adrenaline's still running. It's not that bad, and then after a while, it's like, oh shit, this hurts. Because he did not, and McCarthy did not mention any pain or soreness until reporting it Monday to team medical officials. Um, McCarthy said, "Love you, Viking Nation. I'll be back in no time. Amor fati," referencing the belief that one should appreciate all experiences in life, regardless of whether they are pleasant. So now the surgery will determine, and the course of action in the knee will determine whether McCarthy comes back this year or not. If they just trim the meniscus a little bit, then he'll probably be back sometime this year. But a full repair of the meniscus could sideline him until next year. So we'll find out in a little bit whether that's short term or long term injury where he ends up on the IR. We'll find out. Um, McCarthy, O'Connell said that he has complete trust in the medical staff and also the people that will be performing the procedure. And obviously, you got to have trust in them. Um, this further ensures that Sam Darnold, who signed there after being in San Francisco last year, will be the Vikings starting quarterback in Week 1 and likely beyond. Now, if McCarthy didn't get hurt, and Mike said it perfectly, tough break for the rookie. I agree, even though I didn't watch the game. Because he was probably going to get more first team snaps in practice, and rightfully so, because you gotta see, okay, is he somebody we want to start right away? Because the higher up you are in the first round, like the first 3, 4, 5 picks, because I think there were 3 or 4 first rounders there. I don't remember off the top of my head. I know Caleb Williams and the guy in DC. They're probably going to start opening day, but you know, the pressure is there even more that you start your rookie game 1, you throw them to the wolves, and you see how they react. And a lot of times they'll do well in the first 3 games because there isn't that much in terms of video. But once you get that beyond that 3rd game, there's enough video evidence to say, okay, well, Caleb Williams is doing this when this offensive uh, this offensive formation, or when he sees this formation, or he sees a blitz, he sees a zone, he sees my camera going blurry, stuff like that. So, so you get the idea. And my thing's still blurry as fuck. Um, but you get the idea. It's all. Um, it is a tough break. Um, but they do say here that Sam Darnold has also become increasingly sharp as my camera has not been. Um, um, he had one possession, 4 of 8 passes for 59 yards. Now the other quarterbacks that are on the roster, holdovers, Nick Mullins and Jaron Hill. But now McCarthy did have a uneven performance in spring OTAs and minicamp. But he did stay in Minnesota to refine his skill set with anything like that. And Mike asks, "Do I trust Sam Darnold?" I trust Stevie Wonder better than Sam Darnold. I trust. I'm trying to think of some bad Eagles quarterbacks in the past. Oh God, the names are escaping me, Mike. It's been a fun day for me today, but you know, but You don't want to see that happen, but it's. I mean, a knee injury is a knee injury. Kevin Cobb, that's a good one. I was thinking more along the lines of the guy who finished up the season, the game where um, the Eagles let the Washington football team, the then football team, to win the division at 7-9. Um, because if you remember, Jalen Hurts was in the game and they pulled him. Um, that guy, um, Mike McMahon. Um, you get the idea. So, but I don't trust Sam Darnold. But then again, he probably doesn't. Probably Sam Darnold has never had talent like Justin Jefferson. You got to admit that. Now, the good news is that you got a cheap quarterback there. You got a quarterback on a rookie salary, rookie contract, and you got two has-beens and never will be's. But um, but we'll see. Sam Darnold will be the starting quarterback, and I can tell you right now, if you're a fantasy football guy, don't take any quarterbacks from Minnesota right now, unless JJ McCarthy is planning to come back, and hopefully your fantasy football draft is later. The one I have with the Mike Abadir show, that is the Wednesday before the regular season. So that ought to be fun for me. But you know, but we'll see. And I'm not a fantasy football guru. Even though I had an amazing 13-1 regular season, I just shit the bed in the playoffs where all the injuries happened at the end of the year for me. But yeah, but we'll be talking more football as the season goes along, and we're talking football here. Some stories that came up, and I do have one story that I am going to add that's football related, and also a story that I thought I printed up. I didn't print up, but here I shared it on social media, so I can find that real quick as well later on. So, but um, I had to check because I had the air conditioner on because I had the oven on, and it got insanely hot in here. And the one thing is, if the air isn't blowing in from this window, it just gets insanely hot in here anyway. So a little bit of everything. So Jim Harbaugh took over the Chargers. He escaped from Michigan after all the bullshit he caused. He has the show cause 4-year show cause penalty, and if he were to go back to college, he has to sit out a full season. On top of that, well, Michigan announced that he was going to be the honorary captain for their home opener on August 31st against Fresno State. Well, Jim Harbaugh will no longer be honorary captain for the Wolverines home opener. And hold on. There we go. All right, so we had a bot there, and I decided to ban him. Um, you know, boom. You know, you put it on real quick, you pull it down real quick. You know, it's not even in. Mike doesn't even see it anymore because it disappeared. Probably says one message was deleted by moderator, aka the host, because my other moderator is not here yet. But with small crowds like this, I can handle things like that. But um, Wolverines coach Sharon Moore said Tuesday Harbaugh called Monday to say he won't be attending the game against Fresno State, and the team will celebrate its national championship at Michigan Stadium. According to Moore, Harbaugh said he wanted to remain focused on his first Chargers team and not take away from the 2024 Wolverines squad. I mean, it would have been an odd scene seeing him come back like he was. Now, I could see him coming back in 5 years for the 5 year reunion, let's say, or the 10 year, or the 20 if he's still alive by then. You know, but in a way, you're still 8 games away from the opening game, so you're kind of in that dead area before you really get rolling with the game preparation. So you are getting things ready for the opening week, but you start doing your regular routine on that Tuesday and Wednesday before the Vegas game on September 8th. But I understand, and it's all um, it's all. It probably was more, you know, do we really think this is a good idea? With the new head coach taking over and all that, maybe that had, I don't know, but um, so um, but the but the where am I at on here? So he wanted to focus on the team. So I had to catch back up here. Now Harbaugh's parents, Jack and Jackie Harbaugh, will stand in for him on the August 31st opener. Jack Harbaugh was an assistant under Bo Schembechler in the 70s and later served as head coach at Western Michigan and Western Kentucky. Um, and if you remember, last week Harbaugh got a 4-year show cause penalty uh, due to impermissible recruiting violations during the COVID-19 pandemic. And Harbaugh was doing whatever he wanted. He was like, fuck these guys. That's what he was basically doing the whole time. Shortly after the ruling, uh, Ward Manuel, the athletic director, said on a podcast Harbaugh had accepted an invitation to serve as honorary captain for the opener, but he decided to do other things. Now, Sharon Moore may be in trouble as well, not because of the COVID thing, but because of other things going on here. Um, Moore also addressed his own involvement in a separate NCAA investigation into sign stealing, allegedly orchestrated by former Michigan staff member Connor Stallions. Yeah, that guy. Moore could face a suspension and other penalties for allegedly deleting a thread of 52 text messages with Stallions in October 2023. Now, kind of like the whole Tom Brady thing. What is it with these Michigan people? You know, I'm bringing up Tom Brady. I think you know, some can surmise what happened with Tom Brady with the NFL. The reason why he didn't give his cell phone was because of celebrity things, and who knows what was on those cell phones. Maybe cheating on his wife, banging chicks in every city. Who knows? Because Tom Brady probably got more tail than Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter had his lovely parting gifts that he gave every lady he brought home. But I'm sure Tom Brady's cell phone was more than just football thing. Now, yeah, I think the teams do give the players a company issued phone, so to speak, an NFL type phone, not the old football phones that you got from Sports Illustrated, but you get the idea. But um, but the one thing is, what gets you into more trouble in the long run. I'm saying this even as a union steward at my job. If you do not cooperate, that's when you get into more trouble, because if you're not cooperating or choose not to cooperate, that's when all the shit hits, man. And but you got to be, you know, be truthful, participate in the in the inquiry, the all that stuff. But now, according to the draft of the notice of allegations to Michigan, Moore's texts were recovered later were recovered as he turned them over to NCAA enforcement staff. Moore said Tuesday that Michigan is fully cooperating with the NCAA infractions process and added to the text thread, I look forward to them being released. So, I don't know. But um, now this is a potential level 2 violation. Now, it's not as serious as a level 1, but he could be labeled a repeat violator by the NCAA after reaching a negotiated resolution for violations in separate recruiting infractions that led to Harbaugh's show cause order. Moore was suspended for the 2023 season opener as part of the university's negotiated resolution. So, um, one question I ask the University of Michigan is, was it all worth it? Was that title worth it? So, um, but yeah, it's all it's I mean, I get it because you want to beat the team down south, and Ohio State wants to beat that team up north, and it's but also you get jealous of Ohio State getting the national championships and winning championships, and Michigan got their championship, so it's just a matter of what's going to happen next, and I think there's so much more. Um, and like Mike says here, in the grand scheme of things, it is not worth it. So, um, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if they'll take I don't know if they'll take the championship away, but a lot of times, it's like, why are you spying on shit teams? Why are you spying on like New England? Why are you spying on the New York Jets? We knew the Jets were dog shit that year. You know, your your scouts are in Cincinnati and you're recording the Cleveland sideline at one time. Are you really that worried about Cleveland? You know, that's something that you just wonder why. Why are you on east southwest Texas states or east southwest Michigan states sideline when you could just be doing certain things? But like Mike says, in the grand scheme of things, it's not worth it. I mean, you got the title, but Harbaugh escaped to L.A. before anything happened. He got there before the accusations were the the accusations led to his show cause order. You know, and sometimes when you have those show cause orders, it does happen that it does have a trickle down effect in the NFL too. But like for example, Chip Kelly had a show cause order when he left Oregon with some of the shit that he did there, but it didn't affect him at the Eagles because he got to the Eagles before the show cause came into effect. But um, but yeah, it's just so much bullshit that they did, and you know, like Mike says, in the grand scheme of things, it's not worth it. But it's all about the money and the glory and everything like that. Now, one person who is looking for new money and a new contract is Hassan Riddick. He tried to pull that with the Eagles. Eagles said, "Take your ass up the turnpike to the Jets." Riddick thought, "Oh, I'm going to get a contract from the Jets." Well, Joe Douglas is a former assistant of Howie Roseman. He's saying, "No, you're not. You're not getting a new contract. You're going to play under this contract." Hassan Riddick said, "I want to be traded." Joe Douglas says, "We expect you to honor that contract." So, um, but maybe it's CTE, maybe it's other things. Like for example, Tyreek Hill. He thinks he can beat Noah Lyles in a 100-yard dash. Um, I just think that's all the baby mamas chasing after Tyreek Hill. I think that's the only thing that will help him. Uh, but Aaron Rodgers said today that he wants Riddick as a Jet. Robert Salah says um, that the holdout's not a distraction. Um, he requested a trade before he even showed up for practice because he hasn't even shown up for Run Tyreek Run. So he's giving Antonio Cromartie a run for his money for all the kids that he has. But I think that Tyreek will probably remember the names, unlike Antonio Cromartie, in that um, Hard Knocks episode that he was like, what's her name? But um, Rogers did say he hopes Riddick reconsiders his position. He said he might reach out to Riddick to try to convince him to join what he anticipates what will be a fun ride in 24. There's always new things in the league. I've been around 20 years. I've seen a lot of stuff. I think as players, we always first try to side with the player because we know what it's like to be a player. Um, Now, they asked if Rogers would speak to Riddick. He said, yeah, it's possible. Anything's possible. Um, Monday was the 21st day of his contract holdout. Riddick officially requested a trade. Joe Douglas, who acquired him for the Eagles on March 29th, said in a statement that Riddick's camp was informed that he won't be traded. Uh, this is the final year of his contract. That's probably part of the reason why he's running. He's trying to get that new deal. Um, um, Robert Salah said it's not frustrating because I don't control it, but we're excited about our defensive line group. We're still looking forward for him to get here when he's ready. When he's ready, we'll embrace him with open arms and we'll attack the moments that he brings to us. Um, Salah said he has spoken to Reddick, but won't say when that occurred. Um, Now, Reddick's getting fined $50,000 a day, bringing his training camp total bill to $1.1 million. In addition, he's accumulated an estimated $300,000 in discretionary fines in camp. Previously, he was fined $100,000 for skipping mini camp, and he forfeited a $250,000 workout bonus. Um, so he's and like Mike said, I thought you're supposed to play to get a new deal. Exactly, that's what you're supposed to do. And but I mean, I don't know if it started with To. Now, I don't know if Drew Rosenhaus represents Reddick, but if you remember To, he said, "Oh, I outplayed the contract after that 1 year." It's like you still got 4 years. Get back on the field. And between that and the whole Donovan McNabb bullshit, Donovan McNabb was his own piece of work, and To was his own piece of work, and they were like oil and water together. The first year was fine, but the second year when things weren't going right and McNabb was injured and um, he had that hernia injury, the sports hernia injury, or which is now called a core muscle injury, I believe. That injury and everything else, and you know everything went to shit after that. So, but um, I don't know if he feels like he outplayed his contract. I don't know if this is a Riddick situation. I don't know if it's him saying, uh, I don't know if Hassan Riddick is saying that on his own. I don't know if he's being the mouthpiece for his agent, but whatever it is, You know, you basically want to play for nothing because that's probably what's going to happen after all these fines, which is already over 1.1 million. You know, you have to realize that you have to, you're in the final year of the deal, and and even especially with football, if you miss stupid like that, you do regress. I mean, you're going to be regressing to begin with because you're starting to get up there in years in football age, especially this position. But you just have to realize that maybe, um, maybe you just need to show up, shut your mouth, and like Mike said, you know, play for that new deal. Yeah, and you probably don't want to play with the Jets. Oh well, you got traded there. You got to honor the contract. So, but yeah. So that's everything in a nutshell with that. And he sits out. He sits out. But the thing is, they're they still have um, a hell of a defense, and you know, if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, look out. But I still think the Jets are still going to be the Jets, and they're going to probably shit the bed. But I guess I got to start getting my spreadsheet ready where I have like different colored pens and different colored this and different colored that, and figure out who my picks are for this year. Um, I remember a couple years ago when we were still doing the Luigi show, Funk and Fantasy. He saw that I came in with a whole spreadsheet. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, you want an NFL prediction from me? I got everything figured out here, and this is what I think's going to happen." I don't know what happened that year, but um, but I do it. I mean, because take advantage of the only sport where you can actually give every team a win and a loss, or if you really want to be brave, give them a tie too. Now, one thing I will tell you is, as well, before we get to the NFL valuation story that I have you, last night, if you remember, I told you, well, first of all, one thing I like about soccer is, you know me, I love a three way. And I told you last night when Pork Chop gave me that alert that the the Union was playing FC Cincinnati tonight. I knew it was coming up, I just didn't know when. Well, my my draw bet for the 90-minute plus injury time would have been a loser because the Philadelphia Union went into Cincinnati and beat FC Cincinnati 4-2 tonight. They advanced to the quarterfinals. No idea who they play yet, but uh, they are in the quarterfinals of the League Cup for the second straight year. Hopefully, they don't have to play FC Miami again because that was an utter shit show last year. Let me see here. Let me go here. Okay, so the Philadelphia Union will have a game uh, in the next few days, probably the weekend. They're going to play one of the Mexican teams here, either Mazatlan or Cruz Azul. That will be here in that will be at Chester, Pennsylvania. Winner gets to go to the semifinals, and you get to the semifinals, you're guaranteed two more games. So, uh, but that pick was a loser. But like I say, when I give my NFL picks and I pick against my Eagles, I say I'm more than happy to pick a loss on here on my show or podcast or blog in past years. You know, I'm more than happy to pick the Eagles to lose, and take a loss because the Eagles win. I'm glad to do that just to see my team win. Because in the end, even if it's just a fictitious wager, you know, it is something uh, that I'm glad to do to help my Eagles win. But so, Mike, I got a quick question for you. Um, and we're going to play a little game here. We're going to play a little bit of Price is Right, but the horse racing edition of it in a way. Now, I updated my spreadsheet yesterday after the Louisiana Downs race. Penguin, long time no see, man. He is watching on YouTube. Uh, Glad to have you here, and need to get you on here sometime so we can shoot the shit. Um, we'll talk about that away from here. Uh, Penguin AZ, Mikey's part of our Bleacher Brothers and Tony Bruno group. All that stuff that we have with that. So just to let you know. So, Mike, I'm going to ask you a question. Now, yesterday was the 12th. I think I had um, 14, 15 races this month already. Within $10, what is my profit or loss if I had wagered the exact amount that I mentioned in my articles? What is what was my plus minus for this month going into tonight's race, which I did not hit? So what was it after yesterday's race? That's what I want to see how close you get without. Well, I don't know what going over would be with this. So and I got to work on the camera, and I got to figure out. I got to find the program that I was running this on for Logitech. So uh, we'll see if you get there. So my win wagers are $20 to win on the article, and that's only because of the accounting and everything. Because it's easy, if you hit a horse that pays $10 to win on a $2 wager, it's like, oh, easy, just $100. That's why I do it. So if you want to take a guess here, uh, and Penguin, if you want to do it, go right ahead. I mean, this is I got a crazy number that came up this month so far going into today's race. Mike says plus 50. Uh, if Penguin responds, that's great. If not, that's fine. And you know, whatever. Uh, Going into tonight's race, and this shows how crazy it's been this month. I wish I was plus 50. I'm glad I'm not minus 50. If you had said going into tonight's race that I would be down, believe it or not, $1, minus $1, you would be our lucky winner. And I put the numbers together last night. It's like, all right, well, horse paid 1180, 118, $1. I was down going into tonight. Now, granted, I'm going to let you behind the curtain because I don't care. You know, um, and I preach fiscal responsibility as much as possible. except for when my birthday comes around next month, then it's all hell breaks loose. Um, I I preach fiscal responsibility, and you know what? I'm making these fictitious wagers. Like for example, yesterday I actually played $5 to win on Kenya Strike that won, paid 11.80 to win. I got like $30 back. Now the $20 I put on there, I don't always, I very rarely bet $20, but the reason why I do that is because it's just one race a day. Sometimes you have a second or third race, or God forbid, five if I get crazy enough to handicap the Parks Big Five jackpot wager. Um, but I was down $1 going into today's race. I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. But that's all because of the um, in Canada they pay nickel on the dollar. Uh, you know, Emerald and the Kentucky tracks, they have penny breakage, which means that you may have a horse that pays $11.83 as opposed to 11.80. Um, but whatever you want to do, I don't care. Just make sure you credit my account or give me my money at the end of the day. So yeah, so little fun thing that I found yesterday on after my last break. I'm down. I was down $1. I'm down 21 now, but I don't know how many wins I have this month. The most I had in a month, I think, was 11 or 12, and I was over 39 races. But it's a little fun thing I do, and it's just to promote different things, and the one thing I will tell you guys, if you're going to read my articles, Quills picks winners on the um, on the Bleachers Brothers page. And I try to link you guys up on my personal Facebook and also on my X. And also, I share it on a couple of Discord accounts. I do it on SJ's account and my good friend Kyle King, who's a great streamer, you know, probably one of the model streamers on Twitch. You know, if you want to clip that and send it to him, feel free to do so. I say it to him every once in a while, um, but he goes, I, I, I said one day a couple of weeks ago, I was like, just letting you know if you think I'm quiet, I'm working on this article for tomorrow for my for Bleacher Brothers. He goes, you could put it in the creators corner content. I'm like, all right, I'll start doing it. So I some days I forget, but I trying to get uh, clicks on it, and some like one day a couple of weeks ago, AJ calls me, says, "What the hell are you doing? Where are you getting all these clicks? Are you clicking on this? Are you clicking on this article 15, 20 times?" I'm like, "No, I'm just sharing the links, and some days are better than others." And it also helped that I quote retweeted a tweet like 3, 4 times because you know couple weeks ago at Saratoga, it's like, I'm taking this horse. No, I'm going to take this horse now because of all the scratches and shit, and horse races not being run at all because of the turf and stuff like that. Uh, but I do get some traction on there. I guarantee that the Kentucky Derby one was a big one. Um, I'm looking potentially at 2 articles on Saturday, so that's going to be something I'm going to be working on probably as soon as tomorrow night. Um, I know that um, Saratoga has 2 big races, but the races we're going to be focusing in on for also eligible Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. on the Bleacher Brothers Twitch, or actually on YouTube, X, and Facebook. I'll see if we can get um, the Twitch issue resolved because AJ's supposed to be on the show this Saturday, and I already gave him a heads up. We're talking Woodbine because the King's Plate, the first leg of the Canadian Triple Crowns this weekend, and I think it's like 8 or 9 horses in the race, so it's not as big of a field as past years, but should be an interesting race with these horses going a mile and a quarter. So But um, but yeah, so some of these owners do have horses, some don't. You know, George Steinbrenner used to have horses. I remember he was at Parks when it was Philadelphia Park at the time, and his horse didn't win. But when he was in the infield, when they were saddling the horses, because they used to saddle the horses on the turf course for the big race, and all of a sudden the entire crowd, because the Yankees were in Philadelphia that day, it was at the very beginning of interleague play where you only played certain teams, not like it is now, and everybody started a Yankee suck chant at Parks. But uh, but but this is an interesting story that came up here. Um, the Dallas Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl since Dak Prescott was 2.5 years old. That last championship came on January 28th, 1996. And for me and Mike, it's been the best 28 years of our lives because we didn't have to hear Dallas fans hooting and hollering all off season that their team won, because we just laugh and say, ha ha, you guys lost. And even trying to figure out how the hell did you lose like that, like they lost to Green Bay last year. You know, just shaking your head more than Michael J. Fox and Ed Rendell combined because they both have Parkinson's. Uh, but you really, you shake your head. But the one thing Jerry Jones has done, he has built that empire and the value of the Dallas Cowboys to unforeseen heights. Sights never seen before, however you want to define it. Now, Sportico does this every year, and even if they haven't collected a Lombardi Trophy in 28 years. Thank God. Um, they do hold the title of the NFL franchise that is worth the most money, as they announced today that they are head and shoulders at the top of the list with a value of $10.32 billion. That's billion with a B. $1 billion. They're the first sports franchise to surpass the $10 billion valuation. So, and they take into account like the stadium, the real estate, all the different things that are part of the whole franchise. Um, so the Rams at 7.79 billion is ranked second. Uh, the Giants at 7.65. The Patriots are at 7.31, and San Francisco is at 6.86. That rounds out the top five. The Eagles are eighth at 6.75 billion. The Washington Commanders are 6.3 billion. And they're sandwiched around the Las Vegas Raiders at 6.7 billion. 6 and 7 are the Jets at 6.8, and the Dolphins at 6.76. Uh, and yeah, and they both could be classified as sex offenders. Because Jerry Jones had that court case. I forget how it ended, and we all know about the Crafties that Robert Kraft got at Orchids of Asia a couple years ago. So yeah, I mean, you know, but I think what's more amazing, because I just listened to an episode of it's called Playing Dirty: Sports Scandals. Um, I caught an I finished listening to an episode the other day of Robert Kraft and the Orchids of Asia thing, and can he say happy? But, you know, who knew that Robert Kraft could still get it up on command? Or some girl that will love you long time would do that. So, um, but yeah, it's you know, the only thing is just don't get yourself in trouble with the law, which he did, and that's one of the reason why, even though I talk a good game and I joke around with that picture of I love massage on North Ninth Street around the corner from my office. I joke around with that every once in a while, and that's going to be some major fodder. I would not be surprised if the Cleveland Browns block me that week of the season because I am going to be saying to the Cleveland Browns Twitter, "Hey, I hear this is a good place that Deshaun Watson can get a massage. I love I love massage on North Ninth Street." Now, I talk a good game, but I will not walk into one of those places. And it's only because, knowing my luck, even as a first time, you know, first time wanter or whatever of a happy ending, knowing my luck as a first time customer, I would end up being a first time offender as well because, you know, hey, Mike, bail me out here. Why? What happened? Went for a happy ending. It didn't turn out too happy. But I mean, that's the luck that I would have because, you have good luck, you have bad luck, and there's, dear God, what the hell happened to your luck? And that's what I trend to have every once in a while is you got to be fucking kidding me, luck. But yeah, so but that's the reason why I wouldn't do it. It's not that I'm afraid of women. You know, I'm not afraid of women loving me a long time. And from what I understand, what do I get for $10? Anything I want, anything, anything. Uh, but seriously, um, I'm not. Knowing my luck, I end up on the news because somebody was craving a happy ending, and guess what? He got caught because they had a raid that day. Just strictly coincidence. So I'm not going to mess with anything like that. Um, so, um, so that is that, and Dallas is $10 billion. Good for him. You know, we know that that's just gonna go to his son when he dies in a couple of years. At least we think, because Jerry Jones is in his 80s. You know, he'll probably be around another 20 years, but he'll eventually be as brain dead as Joe Biden, or like me, but it's not anything brain disease related. It's Polish citizenship related for me, and ADD related. So, but let me find this one story here that I found pretty interesting. Let me get rid of this. Um, um, hold on. And just to let you guys know, um, I accidentally took a laxative this morning with some holy water. Let's just say I had a religious movement this morning. Okay, so I found the story here. So, anyways, I'm waiting for Mike's reply to that bad joke. Um, But anyways, um, if you remember, Ice Cube was trying to promote his Big Three league. You know, he said, "Oh, well, our All Stars will take on the champions of the three v three Olympic contest in Paris." Um, Mike liked the joke. Okay, so now FIBA, which is the governing body for international basketball, kind of like the way FIFA is FIFA for soccer or football. FIBA FIBA said that the Netherlands, who won that tournament at the Olympics, is banned from playing in that challenge game during the final weekend in Boston in 12 days, I think it is, or 11. So now Ice Cube claims that FIBA is preventing the game from taking place. A letter from FIBA said the Netherlands needed to ask permission at least 3 weeks before the game. And truthfully, I just think it was just the way that the schedule worked out and everything that you just couldn't get a reasonable permission to play. So I think that's what this is. The Big Three's challenge was accepted by the Netherlands, a gold medal winner of the three by three basketball at the Paris Olympics, but the game is unlikely to take place. Ice Cube said during a playoff game in Nashville on Sunday, because the Big Three was in their semifinals last week. Actually, I think the finals are this weekend. Um, uh, he said during a game in Nashville that the Netherlands accepted the invitation he issued earlier this month to have the gold medal winner face off against an all-star group of Big Three players. Cube promised to pay for the team's flight and accommodations, and he offered a cash prize of $250,000 if he could beat the Big Three's contingent. And um, the one thing I say about the Big Three, and whether it's fair or unfair, feel free to chime in no matter where you're watching. I just think the Big Three is a bunch of has beens and never will be's. And I just think if you want to grow the Big Three to more than just something you're throwing money at just to get your jollies because of, you know, playing it just like you did in the streets or, in the schoolyards, better verbiage because, some people may take something the wrong way and, but if you're going to, I understand and some of the rules are different in the Big Three than they are with FIBA. And I think that FIBA and the Big Three could turn into one set of rules. And I think it could grow the Big Three even more because you have 12 teams, but they're all cute names because it's like, you know, you know, what name can we use with the number three here? What about this one? And what about this? It's basketball related. I mean, it's not like it's the Philadelphia 76ers or, the Boston Celtics like we have in the NBA. It isn't anything like that. It's like it's the Warthogs and it's the Bumblefucks and it's the 47th chromosomes, something like that. I'm making stuff up, but you get the idea. But, the way that we do things in the United States is city or state name or locality name and nickname. Like the Philadelphia Union, even though Union's not a nickname, it's more of it's a general name, like kind of like Manchester United or Manchester City. But you do have a logo or something that goes with that, and Union's logo is a snake because of the whole "Don't tread on me" stuff back in the 1700s. But I just think that, like Mike says here, the Netherlands would destroy that team. Now the question is, what rules are you playing? Are you playing the FIBA rules, which is much faster? Because I kind of watched the games, but I didn't get too much into it, only because the um, I was only watching like a couple of the U.S. games, so it wasn't like I was, you know, it wasn't like it was, you know, CNBC, come see the all the 3x3 men's games today, and then tomorrow you get to see all the women's 3x3 games. But the games that they have that are 3x3 through the FIBA rules are different because they play to 21, they play with the game clock, they play with the shot clock, but they do play to 21 with ones and twos. But the way Ice Cube does it, he does it with ones and then twos and threes, and then you have the 4-point shot. So, you know, I don't know if they play one half. I don't know if the plan was to play one half with the big three rules and another half with the FIBA rules. I don't know. We won't know. But part of the reason why, um, uh, but it was going to be scheduled alongside the league's All Star game this Sunday in Boston. It's unlikely to take place because Ice Cube claims it's because of FIBA. To Netherlands' credit, they accepted the challenge, but it's FIBA. FIBA is scared of the big three, so FIBA is preventing them from playing in our All Star game. Don't look like it's going to happen because of that. It sucks when the politicians get away with sports and fandom. Now, FIBA wrote in a letter obtained by Front Office Sports. The reason why the Netherlands team was denied was because its rules indicate that players who want to participate in non FIBA sanctioned events must request approval at least 3 weeks before the event. The Netherlands sent the request 4 days ago on the 9th. So, so if you're looking at 3 weeks from the actual date, you're looking at July 28th. And I don't even know when the gold medal match was. I imagine it was like August 1st or 2nd. So it didn't fit into that 21 game window. So I just think that it's just the rules that they have about that 21 game window, and not Ice Cube saying, "Oh, they don't want to face us." Well, guess what? You probably would get destroyed because you're looking at guys who may not be names that you know, but they know how to play 3-on-3 a certain way, and that they'd have to adapt to the big three rules, or the big three would have to adapt to the FIBA rules because they do play things a little bit differently. But I think that the FIBA game flows a little bit more because you don't stop and then you check the ball up at what would be half court. You know, you score the basket, you make it behind the 3-point line. You know, but and also if you miss a shot, I think in the FIBA game you still have to take it beyond the 3-point line. But in Big Three, you can just lay it in because they didn't hit the rim. Kind of like you play in the schoolyards and stuff like that. So there are differences that they would have had to iron out, but none of it matters now because FIBA did not approve it because it was only 9 days. Um, okay, here it is. So this backs my point here. The challenge from the Big Three came even before Netherlands won the gold. U.S. basketball's 3x3 team failed to make it out of the first round of the tournament, prompting questions about its roster construction and recruitment, as only one of the four players on the team had NBA experience. The Big Three, a professional 303 basketball league, announced its all star team of 12 players on Sunday, 8 of whom had prior NBA experience. But USA Basketball did not select any of its players. There are several requirements for players to be eligible for the 3x3 Olympic team, but Cube told FOS, which is Front Office Sports, that USA Basketball is influencing the selection process. Um, there's a lot of politics when it comes to USA Basketball, according to Ice Cube. Big Three president Jeff Kratinitz said USA Basketball and the NCAA are in cahoots. USA Basketball is controlled by by the NBA, and they don't want the Big Three to get any recognition, so they'd rather have US forfeit a gold medal. The format of the game differs from the 3x3 format instilled by FIBA. Still, Cube said last week that a team of Big Three players would beat the gold medal winners. We'll play any style, whatever you want to do, and I guarantee we'll win. So, um, but I don't think that's the case. I think that he would have. I think they would have gotten trounced. It's just a matter of what rules they would have played, or do they play, the first half with the. I think the only fair way to do it is the first half with the um, first half with one set of rules, whether you play FIBA first half and Big Three second half or vice versa. Let them decide. But, you can't just say, um, you know, you can't just say, oh, they're in cahoots. But, um, and I got an email here from DraftKings. And if you remember from yesterday, we had that whole thing with, um, let me see something here. Uh, and I'm reading the email here. Tell Ice Cube that Stevie Wags, me, and Mike will play. Show us the money. Yeah, I want to retire. Yeah. But anyways, um, by the way, Mike, we did have a session with FutureLink slash Bright Horizons today. We had an hour-long session with the person there. So near the end of the session, and I probably for some that are watching that are familiar with their names, they'll figure out who my employer is. But it is a veiled reference, because like I said, the company's name is redacted because I don't talk about work. So, and I'm only saying that because you brought up Stevie Wags. So, towards the end, the um, the representative said, "Okay, do you have any questions?" I said, "Well, I have a quick question here before you move on here. I just want to make sure that you're the point of contact here for resume writing, that sort of thing." She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, good, because I want to add onto my resume, my podcast, the stream, and you know, the different things I do, and the articles that I write for Bleacher Brothers." So we do have a package that's out right now. I'm not taking this year's package because I won't have the income coming in like I do right now. So, and like I told my dad, like the last 4 or 5 years when a package would come, I would definitely say, before I tell you this, I'm not taking the package. So don't take it because I'm not taking it. So the one thing I said to my dad was, oh, they have the annual package, and I said, you know, I'm just letting you know I'm not taking it, but it gets harder and harder every year when you're giving 50,000 a sign and then 2,200 a year for every year that you worked um, up to 40 years. So, and the one thing I told my dad was, I'm not taking it, but I'm just telling you it does get harder when you start seeing six figures before taxes. Even though six figures won't last much in this world. So after I'm done with that question, because I was asking about adding the different things I want to add to it, I texted Steve right away because the last thing I want to hear is Joe taking the package? Well, Joe is not taking the package because I want to make sure that Bleacher Brothers goes higher and higher, or who knows, maybe somebody likes the stream, likes some of the goofy stuff I do, the thoughtful conversations and stuff like that. And even like example right now, just talking about real life shit. So I texted Steve this afternoon. I said, FYI, dot, dot, not leaving this year. Because, last thing I want to hear is if, well, Steve's got to work till 7:30 because there's a couple late people um, that are on vacation this week. So he has 11:30 to 7:30 all week. Last thing I want to, last thing I want to see is getting blindsided when we're at Constadter's next week for the final show of the season with the Van Halen tribute band. Um, Last thing I want is, hey Joe, I hear you're taking the package. No, I'm not taking the package because more likely than not, I'm probably going to make sure that I have something lined up so that I can transition as quickly as possible to this package. And I'm not just saying I'm doing this. So, um, and Steve said he couldn't take it either, need more money, just like me. I need more money too. But then again, Steve, he's got all the things that he's got his money dipped into and stuff like that. So probably, but but like me, I said I just want to be ready for 2025 in case this whole Bleacher Brother thing blows up and starts raking in the money. If we do get lucky enough to do that, but I mean, this is more than anything else right now, and hopefully, if AJ ends up watching this episode, and I don't get questioned for a certain statement, um, because I'm not going to lie, this is resume filler for me, and this is the first resume filler that I've had to add in years because, and like Mike says, makes sense. Because the one thing is, you know, because a potential new job, if there is one in 2025, will probably even mean moving. So, I might have to break the lease, September or October 25, or it may happen I'm there till the end of the contract, even who knows. But I'm not going to just say I'm leaving because I want to have the perfect storm develop where I have the money coming in, even from that over a 4-year period, whether I take the half the money in one lump sum and then every whatever amounts left over 48 months, maybe it's that, maybe it's just dividing it up over that time. You know, I'm not, I think that the one thing is with the way that things are out there, and you can say that unemployment is near an all-time low or whatever it is. The thing is with unemployment, when you look at it, and this is something that you learn in economics or whatever class I learned it in. Even though you do have people actually getting jobs, you know, I question whether they're full-time jobs or part-time jobs Because some people out there are probably working 2 or 3 part-time jobs instead of a full-time job, and it's really you're just sitting there like, "Where do I go today for what job?" Or you may be lucky enough you have 1 job, but the thing is, not only do you reduce that number with a getting a new job, that number also reduces when you hit a certain time frame where you're into what's called long-term unemployment. Because a lot of people may just say, "Fuck it, I'm not working. I'm not actively looking for a job." After that 12 weeks or whatever it is, I forget what the time frame is. I think it's 12 weeks, but you know, and when I hear a low or a high number, I'm mentally thinking, well, how much should we add to this for those that are choosing not to work, can't work? You know, there's so many reasons why some people don't have jobs. Some of it is they're just not qualified. Some just don't want to work, whether it's dissatisfaction with the system or, you're just a lazy shit or you're retired. In my case, you know, I'm going to need to go right from one job to the next one because my ass gets bored a lot. And that's why I'm always doing something around here, even on my days off, because guess what? I don't want to be idle. I mean, I might want to be Billy Idol, but, rock the cradle of love. Sorry. But, but you get the idea. And, you know, and it's more than just financial planners or this or that. There's so many factors that go involved to get involved, especially somebody like me who has 25 years at redacted company name. And you know, it gets harder and harder every year because, you also get tired of the bullshit, but you also get tired of, you get tired of so many things, but you're also like, I gotta get out of here. But and once you make that decision, basically that's it. So you got to make sure that you want to leave and, leave on your own, leave by your own choice as opposed to them kicking you the fuck out. So, um, but yeah, so, um, a lot of the people that are in the office that were on that conference today, you know, uh, if they want to, if they want to start rumors, go right ahead, because I'm sure we have a union meeting coming up next month. We didn't have a conference last month or back in July, I think it was. Uh, but I'm sure if they do it in September, um, hopefully it'll be a night that I'm not working. And hopefully, at the beginning when I first log in, I'll be like, hey, just let you know if you go to 9 o'clock, I got to bail. I got my show that I do. But, you know, but, if somebody wants to talk rumors about me leaving, go right ahead because it's not true. I'm going to be staying at least one more year. I'm trying to get my eggs in the basket so I can get myself set up for what they were calling the retirement career or the next career, as I call it. She was calling it as the retirement career, where you get your money, you get this, you get that, you get everything lined up, but you also get what you have that new career. So, but with the degree I have in sports management and all that, I probably could do much more than podcasting and hosting and other things. But you know what? It, with radio stations and stuff like that, and also with radio stations, two of my friends were laid off in the last week, and it really sucks for them. But like the one that got laid off, she found out yesterday you know, I told her today with what she posted, I was like, I wish I was as good with some of the video stuff that you did on this thing, and you know, um, but I'm not gonna pull it up or anything like that. I'm not gonna bring her, and another person got laid off last week. Um, I, even though I'm not in that industry, I am doing this as a fun thing, and it's not fun when you get laid off. Um, it's not fun getting fired. It's not fun. It's even not fun even thinking about retirement. And in my case, it's not retirement altogether. It's just get me the fuck out of this job type retirement. Get me out of this fucking company. Even though they'll say that redacted company name is one of the best places to work at, you know, it may be that one department is a really great department to work in, and another one is a total mind fuck. So, and um, you know, hopefully that doesn't bite me in the ass for saying that, and if it does, so be it. But but you know, and you know, so we're winding down here on this Tuesday night. Tomorrow's race will be from Saratoga. I also got to get up somewhat earlier tomorrow because I got to go to the dentist in the morning so I can get the cap put in. I also got the exterminator with a follow up work. Thankfully, I don't have to leave the uh, leave the apartment, but I do have to follow some orders, which I won't say because well, Mike can come over any time, but it's just once 11:30 comes around, you're SOL. I'm working, but you know, but um, but I am, I'm here. I'm working till I'm working 11:30 to 7:30. Um, I forgot that this week was the week that I was actually Monday through Friday because we're closed back to back weekends. So I couldn't even request a day off. I couldn't even go to Penny Pack tomorrow night, which is going to be a good night for music. But whatever, it is what it is. So, but we will do it live again Thursday night, 9 o'clock, and we'll get it. We'll have some more interesting stories and topics and whatever you want to talk about. I was even bringing up Vernon Odom at the start of the night, and one guy was mentioning how 6ABC said burn the 3 Mile Island must have felt he was expendable. No, it was just that he was 45 years at 6ABC. He said, I've had enough of this place. Even though, just like everything else, it's like, oh, I don't want to be at 6ABC. If I want to get this Emmy award, I have to do it myself and not a, you know, but 6ABC kind of like Action News has their better than you type thing, you know, whatever. But the other two networks, at least ABC and or NBC and CBS are unionized. ABC Action News is not. At least that's how I think it is. But when you get into that, that's something totally different. But I'm rambling here. That's a sign that maybe it's time to go. I do want to see one thing here before I go, and I'm going to take advantage of this. Um, One thing I'm going to do, and Mike, if you want to bail after I raid, so you can get the channel points, whatever I have here, because I don't even know what's on this page. I do it more for the stream and the getting the stuff out here. So if you want to, just sit around for a couple minutes on this site, What I'm going to do is part of the reason why I'm doing this is when you raid to another channel on Twitch, the reason why you do it is, in my case, I can try to get some more followers, and also I can try to, build the momentum of this. So what I'm going to do, I think you may have seen his name pop up once or twice in here, Mike. His name is Chairman of the Board, Bored. I am going to raid him tonight because I do have somebody who is, um, and they're talking baseball right now. So I'm going to raid them, and we'll do that here, and we'll do it live here on Twitch, on X, on YouTube tomorrow night, uh, Thursday night at 9 o'clock, and you know we'll get everything ready here. So I'm going to raid Chairman of the Board here, and we are going to be ready to raid in 5 seconds. And I'm going to send you over to Chairman of the Board. He's a good guy. And like I say, I always support good people, and he's a good person from the Action Labs. And I'll send you there now. And do appreciate everybody for watching tonight. And that's why, if you're watching on X or YouTube, you should join me on Twitch because I can do something like this at the end of the show. So have a great night, everybody, and we'll catch you on Thursday here as we are part of the Bleacher Brothers Network. BleacherBrothers.com for all your needs. Chairman of the Board, part of Action Labs, is up next.
I don't see any war.